AITA for outshining the bride? So I, 27F, am a black African woman. I'm living and working in Germany for a fixed period on secondment. While here, I became quite friendly with a colleague, 60F, and she invited me to her daughter's wedding. I was excited as I've never been to a white wedding. I asked if there was a dress code, color scheme to adhere to since it wasn't specified on the invite. I was told the code is dress to impress. Bet. Day of the wedding. I understand the assignment. I wear my traditional wear, which is really beautiful and obviously not German. The garment is green. So NP problem there. Or so I thought. I get a lot of questions and compliments at the wedding, which I genuinely downplay because it's not my day. My colleague seems colder than usual, but I pay it no mind since she's mother of bride and could be preoccupied. The bride is downright rude to me, but again I give her grace. I congratulate her and thank her for including me, and I get a tight deadpan face in response. I keep to the edges of the room as the music isn't really my vibe. And I'm just observing how European weddings work. I leave around 8, after 5 hours, and go home before the wedding finishes. Monday I walked into whispers in the office. People actually strangely and more reserved than usual. An office friend pulls me aside and fills me in. Bride's mother is fuming. My outfit was too extravagant, odd and inappropriate. I drew attention from the bride and commandeered the room. I was rude and disrespectful. She's told people all about it, apparently. I approach mob and ask to speak, but she says she has nothing to say to me. I ask her why she has STHTK say everyone else about me but not to me. And she calls me an insolent child. I explain to anyone who scolds me that this was my first white people wedding. I specifically asked what to do where and followed the guidelines. Where I'm from, there's no such thing as outshines. The bride weddings are a fashion show and a chance to wear your best and brightest clothes. They told me this isn't Africa, which was racially coded. ND people here have manners. I laughed and told that person to go to hell. So she's telling people I lack remorse for my behavior. I'm wondering if I really am the asshole though? Edit. The dress inspo I showed to my tailor is now on my profile to help you. As another German, I just want to apologize. We're not all that big of an asshole. So yeah, you're NTA. She is by giving you dumb guidelines and then getting pissy for you following them. The mother is at fault here. Not only for being a gossip and for giving you bad advice, but also for inviting you to her daughter's wedding. The couple should be inviting people. Hi. As an immigrant from Eastern Europe, I do not understand outshining the bride either. So, for my first American wedding years ago, I also put on my best and was way overdressed. I could not imagine not donning my best clothes. I have married someone from Asia, and in both of our cultures, you simply cannot outshine the bride. You can wear the shiniest jewelry, and the bride will show up wearing a whole chandelier. Do not take this to heart. Your colleagues appear very small-minded. However, if they proceed with inappropriate comments, contact HR. NTA. NTA. You don't tell someone, dress to impress, and then get mad they impressed. Not gonna touch the Africa comment. As a fellow black woman with African family, I really want to fixate in that. Weddings are legit just fashion shows in most black families and even in white families. When one of my aunts married her white husband, all of his side were just as done up as her side. You asked about the dress code and she gave you it. If you supposedly outshines the bride, who sounds hella insecure tbh, then that's MOB's fault. Your coworkers are rude as hell. We have manners, my ass. NTA. And I'm sure your outfit was beautiful. You asked for the dress code and you dressed accordingly. Bringing this issue at work is absolutely unprofessional and all your staring colleagues should look at a mirror first. Seriously, are you working with preschoolers? Well, probably not. They would be happy with anyone wearing bright and colorful outfits. They told me this isn't Africa, which was racially coded. ND people here have manners. What? I laughed and told that person to go to hell. So she's telling people I lack remorse for my behavior. Good. You did nothing wrong. I'm sorry you work in such a toxic environment. Big time NTA. Now upload a picture of your dress. Exclamation mark. Please folded hands green heart. NTA. She knows you're African and now the problem is that she can either blame herself or you. Somewhere deep down she must realize that her answer, dress to impress, was inadequate and that, duh, this might mean something different to someone from literally a different continent. Her daughter is angry at her, so she can either choose to accept that her vague answer caused the problem and admit that she is at fault, or shove the blame onto you to look better to her daughter and anyone else who noticed. She is blaming you. If the office culture becomes hostile, go to HR and give them a factual account. Good luck. You are so NTA. Let me start by saying I'm white and I've been a bride. So that's where my perspective is coming from. The idea of treating anyone as rudely as you were treated because of different cultural norms is as ridiculous as the idea that anyone could have outshone me on my wedding day. I would have been over the moon for someone to come to my wedding fully decked out in something that was what they would have worn to a wedding in their country. And for people to show tons of interest in them and what they were wearing. I honestly don't think I would have noticed the attention. The idea that anyone can outshine a bride at her own wedding comes from their own severe insecurities. And let's face it, racism. And has nothing to do with you. When I got married, the date of one of our friends, who we became very close with over the last decade since the wedding, wore a very tight green dress that was somewhat revealing and showed off her very beautiful and fit figure. This is not something I noticed or cared about on the day because I was glowing with happiness, having an amazing time surrounded by my favorite people in the world. But some of the women who were there made comments to me in the subsequent months about how sorry they were that she had dressed so inappropriately. And I was like, what are you talking about? It made an impression not because of what she wore but because of how it changed my opinion of the people who talked about what she wore. People can be real assholes when they feel insecure. It's a shame that this bride let her insecurities about herself overshadow her wedding day. I wish I had any ideas to offer on how to handle the situation at work. To me, this is so clearly racism. But calling it out is a different thing altogether. Ideally, someone else would call it out for you. But that doesn't seem to be happening. Europeans love to think of themselves as past racism. But having lived in various European countries, I have found exactly the opposite. I wish you luck. NTA. This has the same feel as people getting angry and women with big breasts for showing off, or being sexual, when they just wear normal tops. And their only crime is having big boobs. Sounds like your only crime is being attractive and having good taste. People wear bright colors and fancy dresses at European, UK, Spain, and Asian, Indian, Malaysian weddings I've been to. I can't speak for Germany, but neither could you. That's why you asked. I don't usually jump to jealously, but they were clearly jealous and they're being wildly immature about it. And racist. You were told to dress to impress. And obviously you did. Tears of joy rolling on the floor laughing. NTA. They're mad you understood the assignment rolling on the floor laughing. African here. Born. And still in Africa. Depends on your traditional clothing. What many users don't realize is that we have many cultures within each country in Africa. And each culture has various traditional clothing. Things is, it can be very over the top. It can be incredibly colorful. Large colored feathers, beads, leather pieces, large bangles, and large headpieces. But there are subtle styles as well, which is not subtle by European standards. So it could be very colorful. A head scarf, and some bangles, it really depends. Because there is more variations of traditional clothing than you can count. Judgment really depends on what op wore. She could have worn a colorful outfit, or she could have been more extreme. For example, some outfits would resemble what over-the-top drag queens wear and look like. In these instances, the purpose is actually to be incredibly flamboyant. Because the flamboyancy symbolizes the occasion. There is a spectrum at play here. So we need more details here. But if I have to speculate, op probably looked colorful. It drew attention. People asked questions about her culture. And the bride and her mother had to go look for their lost marbles. In Africa, especially Nigeria, there is no such thing as outshining the bride. You did well. They're just jealous that they are bland. I would start taking note of the racist statements made to you for HR. White European person here. I have no idea what their problem is. I doubt that anyone confused you for the bride since you wore green. You asked what to wear and complied. If their problem was that it was an African dress, then that sounds a bit racist to me. Most people know, or probably everybody, that some African countries excel in making very colorful and patterned dresses and headwear. You tried to respect their culture. But it doesn't sound like they respect yours. I'm sorry that you are being treated this way. NTA in general. I never understood such a fuss over your guests' clothes. You come together to celebrate love and have fun. It feels like weddings turned into the snake pit where everybody is trying to poison each other. If it helps, I am white and a woman. If you showed up in your traditional clothes for my wedding, it would make me beyond happy. This is not Africa. Here we have manners. WTF. Obviously they do not. They're racist. NTA. I would not have suggested wearing African traditional wear to a European wedding. But it was a mistake of not knowing and unclear directions. They should have graciously got over it. NTA. Don't ask for dress to impress, then bitch when people do. Oh, and manners. Having no manners would mean wearing white, not green. NTA. Your dress was beautiful and completely appropriate for an evening wedding. Those people are just jealous. Personally, I'd take this to HR. Both for the gossiping and the racism. All of that is incredibly unprofessional. NTA. You asked for a dress code. She gave you an ambiguous answer. If she cared so much about the wedding attire, then she should have been more specific. You can't just tell someone, dress to impress, and then get angry when they do exactly that. NTA. It's tragicomic of them to say, we have manners, while literally demonstrating they do not. If that weren't bad enough, the "here we have manners" is a very different statement and for sure coded, wicked, vicious, not even subtle. If there's an HR there and you want to report, you did nothing wrong. I'm sorry someone you thought was a friend decided to show their true colors and it was a total absence of colors. Dress to impress. Not like that. NTA.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.